Welcome back to my channel. My name is Blair if you're new here, and today we're actually going to discuss the books that I've read so far this year. I usually have a goal of 10 books to read each year. I've already read 9 and I'm working on a 10th, which is actually a reread from the previous year. I have 2 left for the ones that I had bought and planned for this year. But seeing how I've read so many, I thought maybe I better go over some of these a little bit. All right, let's start with the fiction books. So these 2 I bought, I guess they're like one after another story, The Match and The Enemy. They are kind of like love stories. I didn't feel like they were graphic. I don't know, I read one of hers last year, The Cheat Sheet, which was really cute, and these were really good as well. They both take place in Charleston, South Carolina. But one's called The Match, and these are by Sarah Adams. But the first one was The Match, and then the second one is The Enemy. So this one was kind of about like a girl that has seizures. She works with like service animals, and The Match is this guy that has a daughter that has seizures. So she is matching his daughter with a dog as a service animal, and then they kind of fall in love. And in this one, it's actually the sister of the guy from the first book. And she has like a bakery donut shop business in Charleston, and then he's like a chef on Chicago, but they went to high school together. They hated each other at the end, but he's always been in love with her. So when he came back, it's kind of like their reconnection. But these were cute reads. These were supposed to be my summer reads, but so with work, I get a lot of downtime. So sometimes I'll sit and read books to fill the time. So I'm going through these a lot quicker. Coincidence of Coconut Cake. This one's by Amy Richter, I think is how you say it. I love her books. This was a reread technically. I've gotten like 3 or 4 of hers from the library in the past, but because I enjoy reading them so much, because I think I've read this one technically 3 times, I decided to go ahead and buy this one this year to be one of my reads. There's also a recipe for coconut cake in here that I really want to try to make at some point. But basically about a girl that runs a restaurant, and her restaurant's getting shut down because this food reviewer basically gives a negative review, not realizing the day she had, and they had actually met that day. And they fall in love, and then he has to deal with the fallout, once she figures it out. But super cute. She has some other ones. I want to say it's like something to do with lemon pie, and then something to do with an apple orchard. I don't know. They're super good books. I really like her reads. This one, Unreasonable Hospitality from Will Guidara, I think is how you say it. If you've ever watched, what is it? I think it's called With Love, Megan on Netflix, the Duchess, whatever. She had him on her show, and she had brought up his book, and I was kind of curious to read it. This was honestly very good read, pretty much like how he worked his way through the restaurant business and the different things that they did to bring really good hospitality into his restaurants. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, I never worked in high-end restaurants, but this was very, very interesting. And I still feel like there's some takeaways as somebody who likes to host dinner parties on things you can do to make it memorable for people. So this was actually really an excellent read. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. And then the rest of these are kind of faith-based books. This one I just finished, Do It Afraid by Joyce Myers. Kind of like how to push through different fears and do the things that God is either calling you to, or those fears that are lies of the enemy that are holding you back. And she had some really big ones in here that she kind of like breaks down, why we shouldn't be, and then helps you kind of push forward. This one, I really did enjoy. I thought there were some very good points biblically, but there was a kind of a repeat story throughout that, you heard it a couple times and then you're kind of like, okay, I've heard it. The rest of it was really good. This one is A Crown That Lasts by Demi Leigh Thibault. This one was actually good. It was not what I was expecting, but it was very good. If you don't know who she is, I guess she was Miss Universe. Yeah, Miss Universe. But her story of like her life and how God stepped in and then meeting her husband and the different things she went through. This was very interesting, but also about how like she went from being Miss Universe, like she felt like that kind of became her identity, and having to, like, once it ended, it ended. And how she had to kind of like relearn who she was, you know, as a child of God. So this one was really, really good. I do like sometimes when it's a story about someone's life mixed with like how God kind of played into it and where they went with it, rather than just books with a bunch of different stories. I guess it's not, well, sometimes the ones with a bunch of stories are good because you get lots of different variety of the same concept you're trying to get out of it. But sometimes it's nice just to read about one particular story and all of the points, because in all of our lives, I mean, it's not like God moves once, he moves multiple times throughout our lives. So this one was really good. This one was not planned. The pastor at my church put out a book, Multipliers, by Douglas Witherp. This was actually really good and insightful. You can see I have lots of post-it notes stuck in here. On things that I feel like I need to work on, and I have started to. But one of the biggest points I think I got out of it was, obviously we know that when the enemy attacks, he attacks, but the biggest thing we can do to fight back is to have the truth, you know, the Bible rooted in us. And something I've read the Bible or listened to the Bible like front to back multiple times at this point. I don't always connect with everything. Like, I can't put it in your brain in a way that makes sense for how to relate it to your life. He's not doing that per se, but one of the points he was making was that to have that truth in you, the best thing you can do is like memorize scripture. So when those things arise, you can just speak it out, like the scripture that would pertain to whatever that situation was, to kind of shut the enemy up and move forward. I'm still working on that. I have like one scripture I think I've like really gotten down, and I recite it every morning, but I feel like it could apply to a lot of things, but I'd like to do a little bit more with that. I'm not gonna lie, this one, I remember feeling it was good, but it's not sticking with me like what it was necessarily about. It's called The Awe of God by John Bevere. I mean, I know it was about like having a healthy fear of God and how we're supposed to fear God. It was a good book, but again, it's not something that like really stuck with me per se. So I can't really say that I know it was kind of hyped up, but I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it because it didn't stick with me. Like, if something sticks with me, I definitely would recommend it because it made an impression. And then the last one, which also, I mean, it was planned, but this was a guest speaker that came to our church. This book's called The Generous Life by Rob Kettling. It definitely created a conviction in me that I wanted to give more money where I could, specifically like kingdom builders at our church. I do tithe every month, and lately I've started donating to K-Love, the radio station, but this is about giving above that tithe, and I would like to step into that. I know this year I was not called to do so because finances changed drastically for me when I took this new role. I don't have as much money, but that's okay. It's on my radar. It's in my plans for hopefully next year to be able to start doing that. I mean, this year I kind of felt like God was calling me more to the giving of time, so that's why I've been volunteering every month at the food bank. But yeah, so these are the 9 books that I have read to this point. Like I said, it was not planned to read that many books so far, but I am. And like I said, I'm reading another one right now that I've actually already read like 2 summers ago, I think, called The Beach Read by Emily Henry. I just remember it was really good. The reason I think I liked it the most is because it takes place in a beach town in Michigan, obviously where I'm from. So it reminds me of like summers in Michigan. It is a romance book, but it's good. So that is pretty much all the books. If you have any other questions about them, let me know. I will try my best to link all of these from Amazon down below. And as always, I hope everyone has a blessed day.